You were talking about money, right?
Separate yourself widely from the pack moving forward. That's something that you would be willing to have a discussion about.
Because they didn't get it.
They
were
probably
like,
didn't get it. Yeah.
To follow up with your clients, to generate more leads. You know what I mean?
Always check to make sure you're recording.
The record.
Yeah.
Clap and I need to start over and all that jazz.
Oh, Lord.
Yep.
We're going 5, 4, 3.
And get to the other side. And that's why we are going so hard and so aggressively, but in a prudent way, at the new opportunity, and it's going extremely well.
Do you think even further a step forward about other avenues you could go into with mortgages, other aspects?
Yeah, it turns out that the house transaction is the hub of a series of really big, important, and potentially profitable transactions. Getting the mortgage, the title, the escrow, moving, telecommunication services, all this happens and changes and is keyed off of the house transaction. And we are making investments in most of these businesses, specifically mortgages, title, and escrow right now, and creating an integrated digital platform so that one day, the dream is that we dream one day of you having kind of almost a trade-in experience with your house, where you're standing in a house, a Zillow offers house that we own. You've been there 15 times. You've let yourself in with the Zillow app. We know who you are and where you live. We've already have a mortgage ready to go. We have an offer ready for your house when you're ready to transact, and you, with one click, can decide to move.
Welcome back to another episode of Key Factors Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jones, and we are powered by ReviewMyMortgage.com. And this episode was inspired by a social media post that I stumbled upon, and it intrigued the hell out of me. And thus, the video that you just saw, it has a lot to do with Zillow's partnership with Open Door and what's going on with that and what it means to you. But before we get into that, I do want to introduce my expert guests. I have Tim Macy and also Logan Fullmer. How are you guys doing today?
I didn't know we were using the word expert.
I like that. Only experts in this show,
all right,
and only
all
the
right.
truth.
Sounds
from
good.
your opinion, at least.
Yeah.
So, guys, how you doing?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Little equipment issues in the beginning, but we're here and we're moving forward, moving the needle, I should say. So as we get into this, and before we kick it off with diving into the topic, I want to give our listeners a perception of who you guys are. I want to give the perspective of why should they listen to you? Where have you been? Where'd you come from? All that jazz. Who wants to start?
You're up first.
All right,
Logan,
fair
what's
enough.
good?
So my name's Logan Fullmer. Live here in San Antonio. I've got a real estate firm that does basically a lot of commercial real estate. We do some messy real estate deals. We do some wholesaling. So that management operation's got a lot under it. We are professional investors in non-real estate businesses, some food manufacturing, some liquor stuff, some other things.
Mm-hmm.
So we spend, 2/3 of our time in the middle of real estate.
Okay, very good. So
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
That's probably a good word for it.
Right.
Yeah. My
Serial
wife-
entrepreneur is better.
maybe. Yeah. I feel like I'm trying to fit 10 pounds of junk into a 5-pound bucket, but from the other outside, I guess it looks better than that.
True.
But my wife works with me. We've got an office of 15 folks here in San Antonio. The better part of our time is spent transacting real estate. So the last couple of years, we've been working on a commercial portfolio that includes office, warehouse, ranch land, stuff
Okay,
like that. That's
very
kind of
good.
been our big focus lately.
And you said 15 years?
No, I've been in real estate for about 10 years. I did
Okay.
oil field before that.
Okay.
Dabbled into real estate, got fired. Real estate was all I knew at that point outside of oil.
Sure.
And let's give it a shot. And here we are.
Amen. Very cool.
Yeah.
And Tim is a returning guest to the show
Oh, that's right.
because he's so damn eloquent and good looking. That's what it is.
Yeah. So, I'm here in San Antonio. Over the last year or so, we've taken on much more of a growth role with our brokerage and our company. So we're officially out of production. But what that allows me to do is really spend a lot of time working with agents in a lot of different markets and working through like a lot of the different things that are happening in the market, a lot of different things that are happening with technology. And honestly, I'm just kind of a nerd for the industry. I mean, it's so infatuating the way Rich Barton was just teeing it up with all the different pieces and how it's done and how it's been done the same way for so many years. And like, I just am very infatuated with the whole space on a big picture level. And what's fun is, Logan's a good friend of mine. And in my opinion, he's probably the best, most, and I won't say most intelligent, because that would almost be like a insult to you, right? Because all the stupid stuff, we do. I can't say most, but he's like the smartest, probably the smartest.
He said smartest, not smart ass.
Well, smartest around.
Smart ass.
Yeah, smartest around investing at like a dirt level, at the absolute ground
Sure,
level.
great vision.
We have great conversations because I love to spend a lot of my time like up in the sky on the big picture stuff.
Mhm.
And Logan is just the master at being down and dirty
In the field.
with the numbers and like, does this thing make sense here?
Right.
So
Yeah,
pretty
Tim's in his ivory tower, and I'm on Main Street.
yeah, right. That's awesome. Now, Tim, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You jumping out of production
Yeah.
into your new role, are you having to redefine yourself, or are you almost magnifying what you already were doing and now have more time to do that?
Sure.
And at the end of the day, it's value, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think so we went from single agent, to my wife and I, small team, to, buyer's agents on a bigger team.
Yeah.
And, we were lucky enough with, what we've done to build the brokers to where it is now, we were able to step out of that.
Right.
But, when you got to the point where you're running a team, your job every morning is to figure out how to make your agents productive.
Right.
And so instead of, waking up every morning and trying to figure out how to get my 3 buyer's agents more deals, now it's waking up every morning figuring out how to inspire 2,000 agents to do more deals. So it's obviously different, but it's just a different scale, And
I feel like you've always been talented at coaching and leading and inspiring people.
Yeah.
I have to
in
agree,
your
yeah.
special ways.
Yeah.
And now you get to apply it, like you said, to thousands of people instead of your team, which is so much more fun.
And truly, that was a lob, because you're doing what you've always done, and now it's being magnified. You're being able to leverage your time even more so, because I can't say that you're not worrying about customers, because you do, but at the same time, you're not having to spend the feet on the ground.
You're helping
in doing
tens of
that.
thousands of customers
There
through
you
your
go.
group.
Yeah.
And
That's
not
different.
just that, though. It's funny because there's the parallel here. Because you say the same thing about Logan. Because when I met him, he was looking at $30,000 houses and buying $10,000 lots on the east side.
Right.
And he was really good at doing that and scaled it to, multi-million-dollar properties, doing the same thing, just, has
Right.
1,000x
Yeah.
what he's done. And so it's interesting when you find something that you're really good at and you find that like you have just really value to the world in what you do,
Mhm.
and then figuring out how to scale it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, scalability is something that people have a lot of tough time with, and it's nice to see or to have mentors that are there for you when it's time to do that,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of folks that don't have those mentors around them.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is I've already had 2 real agents on the show, canned and ready to go. I just thought about it and I went, wait a minute, Martin.
Yeah.
We also had Sandra on
Dude.
here. I'm like, holy shit, what's going on over there?
I think it's
Right.
and don't quote me here, but I'm pretty sure like we're coming right up on 2 years,
Uh-huh.
and I think we're the number 4 company in the MLS.
That's awesome.
Like that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Congratulations. Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
man.
And
Yeah.
you guys are the roots of it,
Oh yeah.
you know?
I remember looking at those same stats that
Yeah.
he's talking about with market share and volume and
Yeah.
pricing,
Yeah.
dollar volume and unit volume. And I remember folks saying, "Oh, don't worry about them," and now they're like, "Worry about
Worry
them."
about them, right?
But I,
What
I
are
did
they
not
offering?
take very long
Listen,
at all.
I think it's a good segue into what we're
I
talking about.
really do think so. I 100% do think that is a good segue. And for those of you listening, for those of you watching and don't really comprehend what we're about to get into, we're talking about the future, guys. What is going to happen, regardless of whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. It's kind of like the concept of big bank take little bank. Some people know what that means. Some people don't, but we're going to educate you a little bit on it. And I want to get different opinions on what's going on, because you've got a mammoth called Zillow. They were founded in like 2006 or something like that. Nobody knew who the hell they were. And then 6 years later, everybody knew who they were. And now you look at them and they're going, partnering with Open Door. How does that affect us? Well, I think it's important that we know how that actually happened. There was a lawsuit that was filed against Open Door, which they were awarded, I believe, $63 million.
Oh, their ad practices.
Yeah, and it was basically deceptive ad practice or deceptive marketing, saying that you will make more money if you sell with us versus a traditional realtor.
Yep.
Turns out that's not true. Now, at the same time, you had Zillow, who launched iBuyer program or iBuy program, one of those, and failed miserably. Okay. But in my opinion, is it really failing if you can just move on, you pack up, close it up, and keep moving and keep trucking?
Right. So there's business lines that we've done, and we say we'll take this very itsy bitsy tiny of our revenue and resources and time and allocate it to this and attempt it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't matter.
No big deal.
It's kind of like Amazon investing in all these tiny little businesses. A couple of them go great, a lot of them go bust. Doesn't matter. It's kind of
Yeah.
par
I
for
think the
course.
problem with Zillow though was it wasn't tiny.
No.
Well,
but was it though? In the grand scheme
it
of
didn't
things, and I
stop
can't
them. It
pull up.
didn't hurt them. It might have been like they lost a finger, but they got other limbs. They're still
Yeah.
clicking.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, let's look at value for a moment. The company itself was valued at several $billion, and then in recent time, everything kind of tanked down.
Yep.
But they're still worth, I think it's, and I put it up there, $9 billion or so,
So I know
with a B.
Yeah, and so here's the deal. I mean, we were talking about it. I remember we were in the office together, and like pandemic hits, and we're all that fun stuff. And a lot of our clients were selling their homes to Open Door and Zillow.
Yeah.
And I was bringing Logan the numbers, and I was like, dude, look at what they're
It's
buying
happening.
these houses for. Like, there's it makes no sense that they're buying these houses for this much money.
Right.
And then come to find out, they were overpaying.
It didn't
for
make sense.
a lot of them, right? It didn't make
Correct.
sense. And so, they ended up losing a lot of money. But Open Door is actually figuring out a little bit because they are turning a gross profit.
Right.
So they're, doing something right. But overall, I mean, when we look at it, like the act of buying a home as an investment, buying a single family residential house as an investment, is pretty high risk, and they're paying
Over.
like
Over,
and
period.
they're paying more than any
Now,
investor
there
could
is
value.
one philosophy that when it was happening that I had, and a lot of folks agreed with me because it's just logic. If you have enough money, revenue, resources, things of that nature, you very well can overpay for a neighborhood, and therefore you now dictate what that neighborhood can sell for.
But if there are other properties in a similar area or the next neighborhood over, you can't change it unless you do dramatic improvements, add a park.
Correct.
You have to affect it in a different
gotta
way.
change it.
They're not able to affect it in the way they were going to do it.
Right.
So it doesn't
will
work
say,
that way. But
this is where I do have the boots on the ground experience, because I did go through these transactions where we're selling properties to Open Door and Zillow, and it's not that they were buying them for more, thinking they were going to raise the value. They just misvalued properties, and so
I
we
agree.
got plenty of offers that we said no to when we went on the market.
Yeah.
But there were some where I was like, oh, you guys.
I have
missed.
friends who are
Yeah.
investors, and they would sell houses to these iBuyers,
Right.
and they would laugh because these guys
They overpaid.
Yeah.
Right. I know these iBuyers are big and smart and lots of raised money and big offices and fancy stuff. But these guys are bright, and they knew that the next greatest fool was
Right.
buying it from them. And they let them have it, moved on, and
Yeah.
those guys had problems
But
with
the
it.
Zillow gravy train came to a halt when they shut down. 'cause
Yeah,
they just
I think the
lost so much
biggest
money.
issue
But
is
did
these
it
are
really,
these
though?
are illiquid assets. They can't turn quickly. A market can turn way faster than you can dispose of hundreds or thousands of houses. And if you're attempting to spend 90 cents on the dollar to make 10 or 5% on the dollar and maybe make a little bit on the related services, you're deploying a huge amount of capital in a very illiquid type of asset to hope to skim some stuff off the top. And I just don't see it being nimble enough to be able to react to markets. We're nimble enough, and our discounts when we purchase are so low. When COVID started happening, prices were falling for a little while. And you know what I did? I just laughed. I lowered my price and sold it.
Right.
There's no bad product, only bad pricing.
Right.
So I just lowered my price and sold it, but I still made 50% markup because I paid so little. You saw what happened with them
Oh,
when things
absolutely.
started to shift. Now they're in stuff. They have to sell it for less than they paid.
Right.
Or they sit on it and burn a bunch of investors' returns for 9 months. Now you got all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
The asset doesn't lend itself to the type of transactions that they want to use it for. Now I realize 10 to 15% of the sales price of a house goes to title, brokerage fees, escrow, all those things. And there's some money to be made on those, but I think it's my opinion that, Tim shared this with me, that the way you can combine all these services into a platform and streamline the user experience, much like you were telling me with the company that you're doing.
Right.
I think there's value there, but does it have to be tied to the house? Can you capture them in the way you want to capture them and do just as good?
Ooh, that's a tough.
Why do you have to have the house in the transaction that burns billions of investors' dollars or keeps it at work
So
and at risk.
I do believe it is possible to do it outside of that, but at the same time, it's a common known driver of all the other things.
But why? But why do you have to own the real estate
You don't.
to be able to
No, you
attract
don't.
these people?
You don't. So here's the deal.
Oh,
You,
okay.
you need to
Right.
have the consumer go to you first.
Bingo. That's what I'm
It's
talking
about
about. If
who-
you link them in there, you can. If you offer the best stuff in the easiest way possible with a lot of education, you will get all those services.
Because if you
But
think
don't
about it-
buy the house with it.
Right. If you think about it, if Zillow had the same intent as, let's say, a BlackRock, they'd be doing just fine. Meaning they set enough money aside, not to buy and flip, but to buy and hold.
Yeah, and
They'd be doing
right.
just fine in that aspect, and that whole iBuy would probably still be rolling, but they were trying to turn a profit on a quick flip type situation when they already had something great going for them, which is we've got the exposure. Everybody knows who Zillow is, and we're starting to add mortgage, and we're adding realtors, and we're adding title. So it becomes this big monopoly, and
Basically,
that's the
what
piece
you're
they
doing
didn't
is
have.
trying to tie in all these related services into one platform, and they make sense independently. Tie them all in, and I think you can share support and lower your cost bases on each of those different businesses in one platform. Just sever the real estate deal.
So
from
here's
there.
here's the deal on the real estate side, and this is why this Zillow and Open Door thing is such a big deal. So zoom out again. What I like to do. I like
Me
to zoom
too.
out.
Me too.
And the reason why I want to zoom out is because I've heard so many agents talking about this topic, and when they do, it's obvious they have no idea what they're talking about.
So true.
Like when they go to an Open Door listing and it's messy, and they post on Facebook, "Never list your house with Open Door." They obviously have
Yeah.
no idea what they're talking about, right? Because Open Door doesn't list other people's homes.
Right.
They
They buy them.
and they list their own.
Mhm.
But what you have to understand is this: Zillow understands that the option of iBuying needs to be on the menu. It's not that that's the only way to do it. It's an option on the menu. What they also realized is that they suck at it. Like they're not good at iBuying. They lost a bunch of money.
Right.
So what they're seeing is they're seeing that we have this massive audience. Nobody's got a bigger real estate buyer audience than Zillow. And then Open Door has the process down way better.
Right.
So they're actually figuring out how to make a little bit of money on these things, and they figured out the iBuying process better than
And
Zillow
do you know
is.
why they were bad at it, in my opinion?
Well,
In your opinion, I know
there was
mine.
actually a race, from what I understand, was that Open Door was buying stuff. What was the other one? OfferPad was buying stuff, and Zillow was in a rush to eat the market share and to own the market. And so they were looking at the numbers like, oh, Open Door bought 1,000 houses this month. We need to buy 2,000 houses this month.
Every time people get in a rush to make an investment, they make a bad investment.
Yeah, they weren't
Like
looking
any
at-
investment.
Agree.
They weren't doing it. How do we buy houses and make money? They were looking at how do we buy more houses in the competition, which is an awful place to be when you're trying to invest.
And in my opinion, they took a broad concept to apply to every local market, and you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like San Antonio is a good market for it. Phoenix, like so this is where it starts. Again, going back to Pine.
So my broad concept, I started in Bexar County, and it goes all across Texas.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of markets I don't understand very well. And guess what I do? Lower the price, the offer to them by 30%. And the sales guy's like, they'll never take that. And I said, okay, then we don't want it.
And we'll
Yeah,
find
that's
out.
your
Yeah,
risk.
we'll
But if
find
you
out where
ask
their
enough
threshold.
people, you're going to get it. So
Yeah.
you lower your risk by reducing your basis. So you have
Yeah.
bigger margin of safety. And they wouldn't do that
They
there.
would not
They'd
do
have
that.
a similar
They
template
were-
with their metrics across.
And that's what I mean by they took this whole concept and applied it to every single situation. And you can't do that.
Yeah.
Real estate's always local.
But here's the deal. I talked to people at Open Door. I've actually had a lot of conversations with people at Open Door,
Mhm.
and it's very interesting to me because I love people. I love figuring out what drives them, all that fun stuff. And as real estate agents, we live in the real estate agent bubble,
Sure.
right? We talk to other real estate agents. We look at what other real estate agents post on Facebook. We live in that bubble. And what we see is somebody posts that Zillow is bad, and we agree with them. We give them the thumbs up. We post that like Open Door sucks, right? And we agree with them. We give them thumbs up. Nobody actually looks at like, what are Zillow's intentions? What are Open Door's intentions? And since we live in the realtor bubble, it's like, oh, their intentions are bad.
Right,
Like,
right.
No. What's their actual goal? Right. Let's step back and let's look at what's Zillow and Open Door's actual goal. And when you talk to people from Open Door, I was talking to one of the guy that runs some of the programs here, like especially in Austin, and we're talking about the different stuff. And I'm looking at him like, man, that was a tough buy you had over there. How's that working out for you? You guys seeing profit? Like, what are you seeing? And he talks about some different stuff. Like, they were losing money on some, they're making money on some, they're doing. But the main thing he comes back to is the consumer seems to really like this. We're finding that consumers really like this. The only thing Open Door is focused on is how they can make the process better for the consumer and have happier consumers.
So I like that
And
for
do you
a
know
while.
why? Do you know why?
Well,
Right? I'm
that's
going to
what
bust it wide
matters.
open. At the end of the day, Zillow started as what type of company?
What, as a website and tech company?
Okay. And
Yeah.
then how did they make their money?
Yeah, off of agents, which they still do.
Leads,
That's
right?
still their number one
So
thing.
if you've got leads coming in from Zillow,
Mhm.
from the buy side of things, right? And Zillow is not known historically for getting listing leads.
Yeah.
You then partner with an Open Door who's predominantly focused on listing leads or getting in front of that consumer experience, like you were talking about.
Yep.
Now it's the match made in heaven.
But look,
We own both sides of this thing, and guess, like I said in the beginning, who controls the transaction?
yeah,
The person that gets to the buyer or seller first.
yeah. So, but here's the deal, big picture wise, is
Okay.
that as agents, look, I go to conferences all the time.
Yeah.
Right. I actually just listened to Rich Barton talk at a conference.
He was there.
Super sharp dude.
Yeah, he is.
But it wasn't an agent conference; it was a CEO conference.
Okay.
Which they talk about much different things, which is a whole other topic. But it's very interesting to go to all these agent conferences, hear about the agent problems, and then hear how disconnected real estate CEOs are
Yeah.
from what agents actually
Actually
do.
doing, yeah.
But I go to agent conferences, and it's all like, how do we generate more business? How do we generate more business? How do we generate more business? And that's it. And then you talk to Open Door and Zillow, and they're saying, how do we change the consumer experience? And I can tell you right now, if us as an industry were only focused on generating more business and crying about people going to Zillow instead of us, we're going to lose, right? And the industries that win are the ones that go after what the consumer wants. And so we'll sit here all day and talk about,
no, you're not wrong.
we have a fiduciary duty. They should, and I'm not saying, look, the clients that we have that sold to Open Door, it was either two things. It was price or convenience.
Yep.
Right? And sometimes, like we talked about, I mean, I know I can look on MLS and see that we sold it to them for more than what they ended up selling for. So it was like, hey, we were a little bit right in that situation. Or they're PCSing and they don't want to deal with the house and they take convenience.
Right.
So convenience or price are the two reasons that they go with Open Door or
Zillow. Yep.
But we have to focus is that the consumer experience buying real estate is not enjoyable. Like, people don't like
It's not, but in this
Traditionally,
space,
it's not.
I
No.
think they're doing a good
Yeah.
job making customers happy, paying them a lot for their houses, bringing all these related services, making it seamless. As a consumer, I love that. As an investor in the stock market, I say, how long am I willing to continue plowing cash into these companies who are building market share to figure out profitability? Now, I had this argument about Tesla for a long time. We got
That's a
hot on
good
that
one, yeah.
and I would have never. Even some of
Hold
the
on.
biggest minds in Manhattan were hedging against him big time.
Right. Oh, shit.
Tim was totally right. I was just like, how's this guy going to pull a rabbit out of a hat? And
Right.
he pulled 20,000 rabbits out of the hat
It's
and
true.
killed it. He's an outlier.
Yeah.
He's very special. He's done something no one could do. But the question is, how long can they burn cash until they figure out how to convert
But
this
that's
market share
the
into
point.
For as
profitability?
long as realtors continue to pay for those leads that they need to continue to provide
So
for
that
their
works pretty
agents.
good. But this side business of adding in buying
So-
houses along with that, do they hurt themselves or
No,
does
so-
it do something
but
good?
That's the point. Open Door is not like, they're not burning that much cash. They are turning
Right.
gross profit. They are getting closer to net profit. Like, Open Door,
They're getting closer to net profit.
but
But how long has Open Door been in business?
not
Probably
that long, man.
4 years, 5 years.
So another problem with the whole investing strategy these days
It's all
is
been an up market.
folks, well,
True.
that's true, but
True.
a lot of folks are saying, I'm willing to plow cash in this business for years and years and years, and it might be profitable in 10. No business that I've touched or come near any entrepreneurs I know ran negative for 10 years. That's this new thing where we're overvaluing stocks. Investors are just giddy. Debt is cheap. People are unsophisticated. They get kids in high school buying stocks on their phone, and everybody's dumping money into these companies that they don't know anything about. They get to run away with that cash for a while. When does it need to be profitable? Is there a
So
timeline?
let me ask you both this. Do you ever go to the Apple store and say, hey, give me that iPhone 4? Do you ever go to, other than classics, but do you ever go to the car dealership and say, you know what, give me that 2013 model?
No.
We don't go backwards, guys. And we have to, I believe, acknowledge that the future is not coming. It's here already. And the way that the consumer, us, buyers, sellers, the experience that is possible has now been shown to them that they can do everything from their phone. They can do everything from their computer. They don't have to leave their home.
I love that.
They don't have to meet and shake hands. Maybe they're awkward people, whatever the case may be, but they blew it wide open in the sense that this was supposed to take 10 years for this transition of how we do business to occur. But because of the pandemic, it happened in 2 years. I mean, it was like, wham, let's employ all this stuff that we thought was going to work, or it could be working. It's not ready, but let's just do it. And we ate it up.
But Logan, on your point, that's the thing on the buying houses burn capital. Like, Open Door is doing a better job. I would agree with you.
A better job, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're not losing money. That's my point.
I thought they were still losing. Are they actually turning a net profit?
Only because of the
lawsuit.
They have EBITDA? Only because of that lawsuit. That lawsuit and
outside of that, they've got EBITDA.
Dude, I think their gross was like $700 million or something.
Wow.
Something wacky.
When
but
was
my point
then
is,
maybe they have figured it out at this point.
If that's the piece of the puzzle that they figured out, Zillow has the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they figured that out and truly are making money, it's sustainable, not just in this market, but over the next few years.
Well,
and they pair with Zillow, you better look out.
Yeah.
That's a whole different ballgame.
So that's the big thing is the next 6 months will tell you whether or not, because it's easy to mess up.
Buying and making profit on this way is one thing. This way is another.
But I will say, man, like Mark, if somebody had the option to go, again, this is going back to the Zillow Open Door thing, and then we also have to talk about what it means for agents.
We can talk about that at the end.
Let's
keep going. It's good shit.
But I mean, look, Zillow Open Door, their goal, and this is where I go back to, I got to listen to Rich, because when you listen to somebody like Richard Martin or all the other CEOs, you listen to what they say, and then from what they say, you have to listen to what they're actually saying. Right. And so what Rich Barton said was, we love our agents.
Yep.
Right. Which is funny because a year or two ago, or 2019, he was talking all about iBuyer, everything else. Because I'm pretty sure they looked at their map and thought they could take agents out of the equation
or hire them.
What they realized
what
they realized is a couple things. They don't want to deal with the emotional stuff around real estate transaction, and they don't even really want to deal with managing agents.
They don't do brokerage.
That stuff is impedes growth, and so they say, okay. Now he's coming in and saying, we love agents.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because he realizes there is a place for agents in the transaction.
In this, yes.
But what he's talking about in that 2019 video hasn't changed. Zillow's at the center. Agents are one of the things that plugs into it, right? So they get the small piece of the pie in the transaction. But one of the things he said was instant showings were something that they were really pushing towards.
And there's already folks
which that
in
says
Arizona,
with fewer agents.
In Arizona, they already employ, and I don't remember the name of the company, but they actually have Uber drivers that are licensed to go and open these damn doors. So, I'm telling you, the future's here. It's not coming. It's here.
There's a lot of different things out there for instant showings. A lot of different things they've been playing with. But what that is saying direction-wise is, look, we're going to partner with Open Door.
Yeah.
We're going to have all the title companies, the lending companies, everything else, right? A consumer is going to come to Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to enter their information in. They're going to see the house they want.
Right.
They're going to have entered in the information for the house they own.
Mm-hmm.
They're already going to be approved through their lender. The title company is going to already have all their information. They find the house they want. They walk into it. They say, oh, my goodness, we love it. They've got option one, which is, you can get a Zillow home loan where we're securing the sale of your house, knowing you're going to sell it, know how much equity you have.
Right.
Zillow home loan, you can buy the house. Or you can sell the house, they're going to have all their different options of how they want to buy their dream home. And the agent is going to be there to open the door, manage emotions, write a contract.
That's it.
Right? And that's it. And when Zillow owns that much more of the transaction, do we think agents part of the commission is going to go up or down?
It's going to go down. Why? Because then in those scenarios, they're going to be able to give discounts. They're going to be able to beat every mortgage company on the streets because just like a builder, they can lose over here if they're winning over here.
And then like I'm talking about here, like when you take that and they do own lending, title, insurance, everything else.
Look, so we love our realtors, but we want to pay them less.
But when they own all that, right?
Maybe.
When they own all that, then they can not make a ton of money on this buying.
That's correct.
House because there's so much more money
to pull from.
to the transaction.
100%. And what he was saying, like you said, listen to what he said and what he actually said. In my opinion, he said Zillow will own all of real estate and everything that comes attached with real estate eventually. And they have the ability to do that because they've got the capital. Realtors, lenders continue to shell money to them because they're now dependent upon them for business. So realtors, if you're out there dogging on Zillow, the best thing is stop paying them, number one, but yet you can't, can you? Right? I mean, the idea is consumer direct because it's already here. The reason, and I can't say I'm a genius or anything like that, but 5 years ago, I bought a website name, reviewmymortgage.com. You know about it. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building this brand new website that we're getting ready to employ or deploy. And it's the same philosophy that this guy has. And you go, why? Because evolution occurs whether we like it or not. And are you going to be a part of it or are you going to be it?
But here's why I believe they won't succeed. I believe they will if we as the real estate industry don't change. But the reason why I don't succeed, when he talks about the center of the transaction, I believe the agent should be at the center of the transaction. And the reason is because we have, at least a lot of people in our industry, not everybody, but we have the trust of the consumer.
And I'm going to crack some holes in your stuff real quick.
But
go ahead. Go ahead.
So, when my client is getting divorced and they don't know what to do, they're calling me. They're not calling Zillow.
So that's why I don't think the agency goes away. It doesn't go away. But I think there's always a place for it. But I do think these models will squeeze that.
Well, that's if
but there are a lot of consumers like me who may not need an agent anyway. And I don't care how much I love or trust you guys. I ain't going to call you to be my agent. But I'm the guy that's going to go use these other services maybe. But there are a huge part of people that still need that confidence in the hand-holding. That's why I think agency will never disappear.
And let's use your example.
Yeah.
Somebody gets divorced or whatever the case may be. The concept or philosophy is they need to call their realtor. Why? They're not going to get financial advice from their realtor, are they?
No.
The lender is the one that they're not only supposed to call, but that's actually who they're calling these days first.
The lender?
Oh, man.
The lender.
We could argue
they're
about
actually,
that.
and what it's showing, and this is just true in what's happening. In the past, realtors were the ones that were spending the marketing dollars to put their faces all over the place, to put TV ads, to educate, all that good stuff. So in turn, lenders went after realtors to get the business. Why? Because consumers went to you guys first.
Yeah.
As time progressed, you then go, well, where are all of my buyers? Well, they came to us already, and here they are with their options prepared and ready to go. And one thing that I guess evolution, the generations have shown me is that our cell phones are right here. They want to know what they can do before they actually talk to a professional.
So this isn't going to be about who figures it out. It's going to be who gets the message to the client the quickest and gives them what they need, and probably is what happens.
Right. That's a good way to look at it.
So in the way I would disagree there, one, so you think that lenders bring agents more leads than agents bring lenders?
I think that the ones that are doing it right and are on the curve already are. Okay. And I can tell you this because you see, I'll give you an example.
Would you say?
I'll give you an example without spending money.
Would you say So I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the industry. Would you say that's like?
Well, the industry doesn't go backwards.
No, but my I'm just asking right now. Do you think that agents bring more leads to lenders, or do lenders bring more leads to agents?
As of right now, I think it's always local, but at the same time, I think that realtors are finding a tough time to gain customers at the same rate that lenders are. But I am finding that consumers these days, especially Gen Z or whatever you want to call them, they're going online to actually educate themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
They check reviews. They do their research on what programs they can qualify for.
Yeah.
What is my budget? They're now thinking the right way, and they should have been the entire time, but you guys did more marketing. You guys did more educating in the open, whereas
I think when people think about, I'm going to go buy a house, who do I call first? For some reason, I just think I'm going to call my realtor.
And that's always been the case.
At a broad stroke. Now, personally, I would say if I'm going to use a loan and I'm going to go use a realtor broker, I'm going to start those conversations in tandem because I need to know how much house, what's it going to cost me to get what I like? Can I afford that? And how do I find the equilibrium point there? So I'd probably start them together
But the only reason
but I'm
I
not
say
that-
that-
you're
I'm not the
now,
typical
now make
person.
yourself a consumer
But
that
I
doesn't know
struggle.
any better.
I struggle there.
But as far as from like the perspectives of where we're sitting,
Okay.
like that sounds insane to me because
I think
we-
most
we
people
do-
call
we do
their
nothing
realtor
but
first
bring-
because
So
that's
you
what I
say
know.
you say
That-
that's
that-
insane, but
yeah.
I've built a 12-year business on
no,
that logic.
I know. That's what I mean. That's
You
where I'm
know,
sitting.
and now everybody's going, man, we're slow. Meanwhile, I've got a guy on TikTok that brought in the last 25 days 45, almost 5,000
Yeah.
long form leads that want to work with
What?
him
Yeah, my
because
dude, yeah.
That's
that mortgage
gangster.
guy, that mortgage dude.
Yeah,
That goes
that's
into a
my-
whole nother thing in the future.
we
Getting
employ-
mortgage leads on
we-
TikTok.
we
A friend of
employ-
mine's a commercial broker and said, if you brought that that Instagram crap you do in the office, you'd be laughed out of the office. And I said, you forget, I'm
You
a
just wait.
consumer. I have all these warehouses that
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
list for me.
Correct.
And he's like, "Phew."
And that was a strong indicator that the market's not changing. It's already changed. And those that don't understand that are behind, truly, because if your phone's not ringing
so
right
this is
now-
more about the first mover. Who gets, just like I said earlier, who
Yep.
gets to that consumer first
Yep.
and who builds the rapport and the trust. That's where they're
and
going
as
to go.
time
They
progresses,
go into
That's-
Zillow,
listen,
Realtor,
where
or
I'll- That's where I'll
agency.
disagree.
Okay.
That's where I'll disagree is because that's what this industry has been based on, and that what we've been teaching agents for the longest time is who gets to the consumer first. Now, like,
But why would you even need to
But my-
teach that if they already come to you guys first?
but my point is why, like, that's not going to be enough. Just getting there first is not going to be
you've
enough.
got to
Just
provide
because you-
value, all that jazz
Yeah, but I
too.
mean, on the
yes.
same hand, if Zillow is
Mhm.
saying, look, like, this is our easy push button process,
Mhm.
right? And you get to them first.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like, Walmart can get to me first. I'm still buying from Amazon.
But then
So-
if that logic is correct, then why are realtors buying leads from Zillow?
Well, I mean, that's my point. Is that that's all we think about right now. We don't think about actually providing. And I look at, like I said, I was listening to
Yeah.
all the CEOs of brokerages and everything else. Like, nobody is talking about providing a better consumer experience to Zillow and Open Door. They're just talking about the fact they got sued for whatever. Like, what brokerage is?
I'll agree 100%
talking
with
about
that.
putting
But
together
I
anything on the
also
Super 8,
think
yeah.
that if you drive that home too much, you'll find yourself providing value to no one. And what I mean by that is you're saying, I'm going to focus on providing a better experience. And we all are. Mind you, everyone in our profession should be focusing on how to tighten up your system, how to get more referrals, how to streamline the process and make it easier for a consumer to go through this tough process. But we haven't even talked about how you get them.
Yeah, my point is like,
Branding and exposure and marketing and
Yeah.
things of that nature. But if the consumer is now a little bit more intelligent, and not even intelligent because they're book smart, this and that, it's almost inherent by
there's
nature
just so much information.
and so much
And
information.
are you the provider of it? So,
There.
Look, you're getting at a good point, which is what I tell our agents when we're talking about competing with Zillow, competing with all this other
Mhm.
stuff, right? Zillow is never going to be a influencer, and nobody likes that word influencer, but it is what it is. You know what that means? Influencer. When my wife orders stuff, and we just got some stupid thing in the mail today, right? She bought on Instagram. The thing is, people want to buy from people, and people want to buy from people that they trust, and that essentially is an influencer. That's why you buy stuff from an influencer. And I say all that to say Zillow is not going to ever make the YouTube channel that is the local real estate expert on all things San Antonio real estate. Zillow is not going to like do the type of attraction marketing that we as real estate agents do to be that advisor, to be that influencer in the space that people want.
So,
Well, let me ask
that's
you.
the part of the market share that I think they can never touch. Like I was saying, there's a portion they're going to disintegrate.
Mhm.
There's a part of it that they will never touch
Right.
because of that, and
Yeah.
because people need the hand holding.
That's very true. Now, keep in mind,
But they might get
they
enough
still
market
have
share to make
realtors
billions of
employed
dollars.
to do those things. We're acting like the realtor's completely gone at this point. That's not what's happening.
No,
they're
no,
just shrinking
They're
the
just
amount that they
shrinking you
make.
down to the person that opens the door to the emotional
They-
stuff that's
right.
contract. What I'm saying is,
And
when
That's
I
not
get-
the same as
no,
a realtor that they would be to their clients.
Right. No, and I agree 100% with that. My point is more so a point of, does Zillow need to do that if they've already got the branding, they've already got our attention, they are
Yeah.
who doesn't know how to spell Zillow?
Look,
Who doesn't
so-
know who Zillow is? They've done a good job over
Yeah.
the years of branding that. You don't have to have Lifetime Gym or whatever gym give me value. Why? Because I know if I go there, I can get my own value out of their tools that they have at hand.
So here's the deal.
Does that make sense?
Well, and that's. Oh, I think we're agreeing on that, right?
No, we definitely, yeah.
Zillow is the mammoth.
Yes.
That has the brand, has the attention,
The
has
levers
the whole
that they
thing,
can pull. Yeah.
And they're trying to build a super app to centralize the experience, make the home buying process easier, right?
Right.
Like I get that. I think agents' unique value is in that influencer type economy where you do become the trusted source that people will actually ask questions to, right? Nobody gets excited to ask Zillow about, really personal questions about buying a house.
They don't need to. And that's what I think is the
mean?
scary part. They don't need to ask Zillow a thing. The consumer, Zillow has created a platform that's all automated. They've what's it called? Predicted the movements of what somebody's going to need, want, and how to get them to it. Streamline, kind of like we were talking about in the beginning of we're always trying to streamline our business. They've done that.
But
so therefore, if the
There's
consumer
that
does not,
custom part of the advisory.
yeah, I mean, the custom part of the advisory in the future, in my opinion, they switch from Zillow to YouTube and then back to Zillow.
Again, you're
That's an interesting
guy that
point.
loves
Yeah.
YouTube. So here's the deal. I buy a bunch of stuff on Amazon.
Right? Likewise, yeah.
I bought super glue on Amazon yesterday.
Huh.
Super glue, boom. Need to fix something.
Was there in 2 hours.
Done.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm gonna buy a new camera.
Mhm.
I'm gonna spend $3,500 on a camera. I'm not just going to Amazon, hitting the button and buying it. I'm going to YouTube.
Okay.
I'm calling my buddy.
Same.
I'm like, hey, what camera do I need? Even after I watch all of the videos on YouTube,
Okay.
I'm still picking up the phone and calling my nerd gearhead buddy
Yeah.
about buying this camera. And
This is a great point.
as you step up in the thing that you're buying, you want more expert.
Now, here's the
input.
kicker. Okay.
Yeah.
Same as me.
Yeah.
I go to Zillow. I go, woo, I'm not going to buy that. Then you go do your research. You do your YouTube. You do your references, all that good stuff. You may even go into Best Buy and pick it up, hold it, touch it, feel it. But then you're going to walk your happy butt back to your house and click and see the difference in price. And you're going to go, okay, that one is exactly the same. And you're going to buy it on Amazon.
I do that.
We all do.
It's
If you-
harder with
unless you
housing
like to burn
services, I
money,
still believe.
But
listen,
because there's a depth that you can't get. The details you just can't quite get because a home is so much different than a camera.
I'll agree. I'll agree.
That's what I mean. As the process steps up, and look, a lot of our people have built their entire businesses on YouTube,
Right.
and so that's just a good example to see kind of how this
Right.
plays out. And they call our agents, and they've already watched like 8 hours of their stuff, and they've already and they're like, "Do you have time to work with me? Because I'm buying a house." And I'd love you to, you know what I mean?
They're like calling the celebrity over
Right?
here who's
That's
so
what it's
busy.
true.
I
With
know.
Shane's TikTok, they really think he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
And we love it.
Yeah.
I know. I get it.
And so that's the thing. Like that thing, again, I know what Zillow's doing.
Right.
I know what their game plan is. I'm saying that's the value as agents. The fact that even Zillow knows they're out of the iBuying game because they can't do people, they can't do emotion, they can't do all of the complications.
But
that
are they
comes with-
really out of the iBuying game now?
Well, they are. That's why they partnered with Open Door.
So
Yeah,
are
so
they
they're-
really
they're-
out of the
they're in it.
iBuying
But
game?
what I
So
mean
let me ask you
they've
this.
solidified the need for the agent is what I'm saying.
Right.
So with all this stuff we're talking about,
Yeah.
Zillow is $35 a share, almost $36 a share right now, down from its high from 2010, which is 12 years ago, at $200 a share.
Yeah.
2010 is when the market was rebounding. Zillow was figuring some things out, but they've been on a downward trend. You
Yeah.
can see that. They've just,
Yeah.
since their prime, they've been down. Would you guys invest in Zillow right now, thinking that they're on the cusp of the new generation or
Yes.
not? Would you buy their stock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would buy some.
Why? Because, like I said, the future's
It's
going to
never
come
been
regardless.
cheaper in the last 25 years.
Correct.
So it's
Yeah.
So you
pretty
want to get
cheap.
in.
But if the real estate market looks to continue to be uncertain or goes
Yeah.
down at all, that stock's going to go down even more. So I would maybe even.
But
wait.
why do you?
But-
Okay, that's
but
a
the
good
stock-
point.
But the stock price, Logan, I don't think the stock price. I mean, obviously it does, but I don't think the stock price.
Stock price is more about intrinsic value and the consumer's opinion about what they
Perception, yeah.
think's happened,
Yeah.
and most of them aren't sophisticated.
So I don't think
Correct.
it slows down, or I mean, it could speed up if the stock price did well. I don't think it slows down or speeds up what their plan is or what's going to happen overall
I
in the industry.
agree, it won't.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
I mean-
curious. Would you buy some of it if you just said, "I'm going to allocate $1,000 to something"?
Right.
Would it be this? Would it be
Yeah, I
that?
mean,
Would
look,
you do that?
Why not?
you
That's a
look at-
great basis.
So I've been putting a lot of money into real.
Yeah.
For a lot of
That's
different
a
reasons.
great-
But right now, I would buy more real than I would Zillow.
Check it
for
out.
a lot of different
That
reasons.
is a great transition into this. I'm seeing EXP, real, similar things to
Yeah.
multi-level marketing, and that's not intended to be a bad thing.
No.
All
Right.
things are multi-level.
It's more
marketing,
revenue
in my
share.
opinion. Right. It's more
Management share.
the ability to make a residual despite the fact that things are changing.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is as we progress in time, as we progress with technology and mammoths doing what they're doing, we're seeing BlackRock and
Yeah.
people like that buying homes to make it permanently a renter's market or a renter's world.
Right.
I think,
So in turn, hold
lower
Hold
income,
on.
middle income.
So
Yeah.
as we continue, we will, and this is my prediction, we will see the agents that do, I don't know, 1 or 2 every once in a while transactions completely get out of the business.
Yeah.
And the agents that are, let's say, steady Eddie 1 a month type situation where it's good money, but it's not enough to still accomplish your goals, join teams. Why? Because of the branding, the exposure to the market, the tools that they provide, the leads that they have
Mhm.
coming in, all of those type situations. I'm seeing that everywhere. And it's one of those things that, why is Real created? It was created, in my opinion, to combat what's happening already.
Yeah.
EXP was one of the first to do something like that.
Mhm.
I don't know the difference between the two, and
Yeah.
I'm not here to advocate for either one, but I'm just saying the concept and the philosophy of the people behind this was, how do we keep this this career path alive for many?
So let me break the drone out
Okay.
and go fly way up in the
Let's
sky.
go. Let's
'Cause
go.
I
Take
started
me up
off
there.
saying, right? That's where I like going.
This is like the part where I do the Cheech and Chong, like.
So look, we have something like, I think it's 600 MLSs across the country.
Yeah.
Right? 600 different
IDXs,
MLS boards or
Mhm.
whatever across the country.
Mhm.
You've got NAR, right? You've got Remax with all their different franchises. You
Yeah.
got all this stuff. It's stupid.
Yeah.
If you wiped everything clean, right, and you went to put Elon, Jeff Bezos in a room together, Rich Barton, and you say, hey, what's the most ideal way to run the real estate industry? It would look nothing like it looks today.
Wouldn't
Right.
it kind of look like Zillow?
Well, I mean,
That's
lot
what you
closer
guys
than
are
that.
doing.
it'd probably be a lot more centralized, a lot more streamlined, and it would make a lot more sense.
So you
than
saw
it does today.
what Tesla did with car buying experience.
Yeah,
Generally,
they just
and you
wiped it
bought
clean.
that.
I bought
and you-
2 of them.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
y'all both know. He's told me his buyer experience. And when you go to buy, so maybe this ties back to when you go to buy the house, you have all these questions and interests. He didn't do that. He went into the store within 15 minutes, signed up all the stuff, and left. And he's like, I want it. He didn't know quite how much headroom there was. He didn't know if it was perfectly comfortable, his suitcase would fit, but he said
it was easy.
it was easy and you liked the car.
And
Oh.
that was
But-
my whole point
I
on
know,
the Zillow
but here's
thing.
here's where I'm going.
Okay.
So we live in this fragmented. We work in this fragmented, archaic industry that was built however many years ago, and instead of ever like trying to fix it and change it, we just keep stacking stuff on top of it. The reason why you've seen so much disruption in brokerage, like with EXP and what
Mhm.
we're doing and some other companies, is because the franchise model,
Mhm.
the Century 21, like some of these older models. I mean, Realogy owns all these big companies, and these big companies sell franchises, and then the franchises have brokers and sales managers try to recruit agents. Like, it worked in the 90s.
Right.
It worked in the early 2000s. That was the model of then. The model of now is centralized, efficient, and smart.
But really, what is it? Why did you guys do that? Let's be honest. Why is that
Yeah, I mean,
happening?
look, so-
margins are shrinking.
So commissions get compressed, right? And then the other thing is,
How do
too-
I hold on to something that's disappearing?
Yeah.
Well, let's give you a smaller piece of it of bigger amounts.
So-
Why? Because I don't produce anymore. I'm the broker, and my people aren't doing as many transactions as they
But-
used to.
But here's the deal: when you go to, again, I want to go back to what Zillow and Open Door actually want to do.
Okay.
Right? They want to make the push button experience and have the agents be a little part of it.
Yeah.
Right. What agents should be stomping their feet and yelling at their prospective companies for doing is saying, look, what are we doing? Right? Like, what is any brokerage doing to combat what they're doing?
Right.
And I can tell you what they're doing to combat it.
paying.
They're complaining about it. That's all they do.
That
All they
too.
do is complain about it.
Yeah.
Nobody says, "Hey, look,
Yeah.
we're going to try to build a better consumer experience in
It's
them."
because you
but
can't
It's going to be,
it's
but
be-
it's going to be your experience as the agent, not Zillow's. And
You
so-
can't convert a jet ski into a truck. Doesn't
Woo,
work.
That's fire.
So the
Yes.
problem is trying to make
Yeah.
that brokerage model. There's no conversion methodology for that. So you
Can't
have
do
to
it.
change.
Can't do it. You got to give up
Well,
to
I
gain.
know a company
Just like
that-
they're doing. They're giving up quite a bit that we see. Oh my God, I knew they weren't going to make it in iBuyers,
Do you have
and then
any-
they turn around and buy Open Door.
do you have any
They've got
outlets
it
around
figured
here?
out.
You
Say
have
that
any
again?
outlets around here?
Outlets, power
Yeah,
outlets.
I got to plug real quick. I do know one company. That was an awful joke.
Hey,
I do
I'm
know.
the
I do know
plug.
one
I'm
company
the
that's working
plug.
on it, but that's a different topic.
Let's go. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I think that
So look, that's what I mean, because I do think the agent, if
Mhm.
the agent had the same could offer clients the same thing that Zillow Open Door partnership does with one, streamlined thing that happens inside of one.
so take
app
us
in
down
one
that
thing.
road. What
right?
does that in a perfect world on your side of the tracks? What does that look like?
Sure. I mean, Logan wants to buy a house,
Mhm.
right? Logan gets my app instead of the Zillow app.
Right?
Logan enters his information into our thing,
Mhm.
right? And then the whole experience happens within our app in one place. I mean, he's talked about the Zillow app every time he's spoke in the last however
Right.
long, because he knows consumers don't want to talk to you, the realtor, get emails from you, and then figure out their login on their mortgage person, and then figure out how to send their information to title,
Mhm.
right? I mean, they're giving
Yeah.
everybody the same information 10 times.
And let's be real. What's keeping you guys from doing that? Because you
Well-
can absolutely pay enough money and not a lot to
Yeah.
develop an app to make all this stuff work.
So
What is missing
I can tell you,
for everyone to
I'm-
compete with that?
I'm going to talk about industry-wide.
Hmm?
The biggest thing, in my opinion, is that brokerages suck at technology.
Not even that. Not
but
even
no,
that.
no,
I mean, I
it's-
get what you're
it's-
saying
It's
there.
important.
Mhm.
It's important because Realogy rebranded to Anywhere, which
Okay.
is funny. But they said it. They're like, hey, we realize the consumer needs a more streamlined transaction, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. This
Yeah.
is like the biggest, I think, if not the biggest, second biggest company in
Acquisition, yeah.
right? I mean, they own Century 21, Coldwell Banker,
Quite a
Better
bit.
Homes and Gardens. I mean, they own all these brokerages. But that's the point. They are not going to get adoption of anything across however many different companies they have,
Right.
across however many different franchises they have, across, I mean, it's hard. I talked to the CEO of Remax, who's an awesome dude, sharp dude, really like the guy.
Mhm.
And honestly, as somebody who's trying to grow a brokerage that's really going to take over the industry, I think that guy's a great CEO. So I'm like, man, Remax has got a good person at the wheel. But at the end of the day, I look at his challenge, and his challenge is getting all of this bureaucracy that has been built up over the years.
He's trying to convert a
to
jet
move.
ski into a truck.
Trying to convert a jet ski into a truck. That's where, when you look at the EXPs, when you look at us, when you look at the centralized
Right.
cloud model,
Right.
where every agent is on one platform, then it's a lot easier. You get a lot more agility, a lot more hopefully ability to get agent adoption when it's a more centralized company than the fragmented ones that are out there now.
And there's one thing that's missing
What's
from
that?
what
What do
you're
you got?
saying,
What do you
okay? And
Mhm.
that is exposure to the market as a whole. And what I mean by that is you've got Keller Williams that 100% is doing what you're saying. You've got Remax that is doing what you're saying, and they started doing that by Moto Mortgage and Keller Mortgage, bringing that in-house.
No, I know. but they
Title
didn't-
companies in-house,
Yeah.
all of those things. But why haven't they taken over the world? Because one, they don't have the money to leverage. Two, they don't have the buy-in from all of their agents, like you said, to
Yeah.
preach the same message.
How much?
and then,
What percentage of Keller Mortgage do the agents own?
oh, who knows?
What percentage of the Remax
I
mortgage?
bet-
do the,
I bet
do the
zero.
Yeah,
agents
zero.
own?
Zero. It's
So
a
in-
brokerage.
right?
Yeah,
In y'all's
zero.
model, they own part of that under the house, so
Sure.
they have incentive.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. But how do you get that message out as big as a Zillow when you own the media broadcast company that it goes on?
For them, it's
and
pretty easy
the
to get that
realtor?
message out.
So look, you don't like if you want to reach people through ads,
Mhm.
Zillow wins, but for sure.
If
But-
you want to reach
but here's the deal.
anybody from just a household brand name, Zillow still wins.
No, because listen.
They've put the legwork in.
No, for sure. But here's the deal.
Okay.
I think more and more people don't want to buy houses from a brand. They may look on that app. Look, Zillow has some ridiculous amount percentage-wise of the market
But
share.
you said it. Zillow doesn't sell houses.
Listen, Zillow has a ton of the market share for search, right? When you look at the percentage of search that happens on Zillow, it is astronomical.
Right.
When you look at the amount of transactions that close with a Zillow agent, it's not even close. Right. It's much smaller. So there's a separation between the brand that people are going to go to search on to the brand that people are going to transact.
I think you guys are also both talking the same language.
And we are, yeah.
Because there's still, like I was saying earlier, there's a part of these folks that will go to this and it works and it makes sense. There's a part that will always stick back with them. And there's
It's
a place
just how
for both
much
of these
left
there.
is
What's
there
the
going to be?
percentage?
Yeah, but
I don't think they take a big
Market share?
hack. I mean, they
Not
take
now, I don't
enough to
think
make
they do.
good money.
I think they could.
But
I think they could.
people really need to have their hand held through the biggest transaction in life. They want to feel good and confident. And a lot of people just won't get the confidence.
Your first time home, and I will agree with that.
Doing that for them.
I will agree with that historically.
Your seventh
first-time home
transaction gets a lot easier.
your second one,
But
when you
the
feel
average
like
American
you know,
buys what, 3 houses in their whole
Sure.
lifetime, maybe.
I agree with
So
that.
as long as Tim's there from 1 to 3, well, then you're okay.
So what happens when it's no longer affordable for first-time home buyers to be buying, and now they're renting, and you're only dealing with second, third,
I think the way the markets drag back and forth, there will always be a first-time home buyer
I agree.
thing.
I agree.
Things pull back and forward to make that
Look,
happen.
and the thing is, too, we're spoiled over here.
Yeah.
I mean, go look at home prices in England.
Ha!
Right? What percentage of a home
Canada.
price in
You don't have to go
Canada?
that far.
Right? Like,
Right.
Like here, we've got low down payment loans. We've got all these loan programs that make it easier than any. I could be wrong here.
Right.
Somebody comment if I'm way off. But we have a country that makes it easy
Very.
for home ownership
Very.
compared to other countries. But what happens is we get super spoiled with it, and we're like, everybody should be a homeowner when it's not really the case.
No.
So,
Well, I mean, I don't know any other. I don't know any other countries that their economy runs on mortgage-backed securities like ours does.
Well,
So
one of the other
that's-
issues, you can't even have private land ownership outside of the government-owned land in the majority of the world.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, but my point is, you're talking about BlackRock and some of these people buying rental properties, hurting home buyers. Like, yeah, I mean, somewhat. I'm sure they do somewhat in the market. The other thing is, though,
There's room for all this.
there's
room for all.
there's always going to be room. Look, the example that I like to use is again, I think a couple of things that my beliefs are founded on. One, as Americans, we're hit with 6,000 to 10,000 advertisements a day.
Yeah.
And we are very good at avoiding ads. And that's why I'm not ever big on running them. Like most of the stuff that we teach, most stuff we do is almost all organic.
Organic, yeah.
The second thing is, I believe as we become more disconnected as a society, people will yearn for connection more, and people will want to do business with people. And
It's just a rebound effect.
right, so that's see. So
We don't go backwards, though.
No, I mean,
Give me a situation to where
look-
we went backwards. I think eventually we won't even be talking to each other.
Well, no, this
we'll be looking at each
I'm
other
not
going,
talking-
"Mhm,
look,
mhm."
I'm not talking about going backwards. I'm
Right.
talking about going forwards. And here's how we go forwards. I love like Persian rugs, like nice rugs, and my wife does too. And it's bad that we both like it because it could turn into a very expensive habit.
yeah.
You know what else I love doing, Logan? You probably love doing this too. Is you go to the rug store and they've got all these different ones. And the
Right.
guys next to you, and we find one we kind of like, and I look at it and I see my wife. She smiles. I can tell she likes it. I'm like, all right, don't show them that you like it, right?
Right.
Like we're gonna flop it down, and I'm like, man, I don't really like any of them, but how much for that one? And he's like, $950, and I'm like, man, I can't do that, So I keep walking. He's like, I could do 800, and I'm like, like I'm spending 20 minutes
Mhm.
getting this guy down to like $450, and I'm like, let's do this, honey.
That's awesome.
We're fine because I'm cheap. I never pull the trigger, and I'm like, let's get it.
Yes.
And she's walking around. She's like, no, I'm good. And we walk out. And I'm like, what the heck? So a couple weeks later, I'm always taking my trips, going, speaking at different things and all that stuff. I come home, and there's this beautiful freaking rug in our bedroom, right? And I'm like, honey, it's beautiful. I love it. Like,
How did this happen?
what happened? And she's like, finally, I bought one from the girl on Instagram that I follow. Right? And here's the thing. Salesman, negotiating,
Yeah.
all that stuff. was not what she wanted.
Right.
She didn't love that process. When she bought it from the girl on Instagram, it's somebody she's been following.
Right.
She's seen all of her things. She's watched this girl's story.
She admires
She believed
her.
in a
Right.
cause.
But not just that. Guess what? After she buys the rug, she takes a picture of it, whatever, sent it to her, and the girl on Instagram posts it and says, Phon bought a rug. And
Yeah.
so it gives her an opportunity to like take part in it. And here's the deal. I like when somebody goes to buy a house, like you said,
Yeah.
I think they'll have been researching on YouTube. I think they'll have been doing the research like you're talking about. They're probably going to go on Zillow, look at Zestimates, look at all the other things.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, they're going to be like, man, I think we're ready to go. I'm calling Mark.
And that's
You know what I
truly
mean?
what
And
we
that's-
as mortgage professionals,
Yeah.
as realtor brokers, as
But-
investors, that's what we hope for. And we've got to continue to
Yeah.
provide that value and continue to sharpen the sword and all that good stuff. But when you've got companies, and I love
So-
that the fact that you take a bird's eye view from things, because there's another acquisition that took place recently that also had me scratching my head. I'm like, how the hell is BlackRock buying Optimal Blue? Optimal Blue is a data company that mortgage companies use to price our loans,
Mhm.
in addition to all the statistics that you can find with home buying, but on the lending side for the most part.
Yeah.
The hell's BlackRock buying them for, right? Well, you look at this acquisition, and it's, like I said in the beginning, big bank take little bank. And
Yeah.
no matter how much value you have, your soapbox is only so big. And I think at a certain point, you've got to ask yourself, is that enough for me to accomplish my goals?
So here's the deal. I think that you're talking about the mammoths out there
Mhm.
that are getting the data, that are running the ads.
And,
Look,
and the mammoths that are actually making headway in what they say they're going to do
Yeah.
years prior to it actually happening.
so here's the deal. If we as agents do all the stuff that I just said,
Yeah.
and we are the consultants, and we are that person, and we are providing the value, and we are the person that when they're ready, they pick up the phone and they call us. Or they don't call us, they DM us.
Right,
Like,
right.
we get the DM, they fill out the thing, we get the lead. If we are that person, but we continue to plug them into this process from 1982,
Yeah.
we won't win.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my point is like, if you look at Zillow, it's like, just listen to them. You know what they're going to do. You know what the play is. And if we as an industry continue to just keep our head in the sand and just say, oh, consumer likes us, they'll keep calling us, even though our process sucks, even though
Right.
this whole buying process is broken.
Or continue to bash them.
We just bash them,
Yeah.
right? Because consumers love when you just bash the competition. No, I
never,
mean,
never.
Every
Right.
time you bash the competition, the consumer's like, oh, and they start Googling them, right?
Yep. You just gave them a reason.
Right? And so, no, I mean, I'm saying that I think Zillow, like I said, will never make the YouTube channel. They will never be the person that people reach out to. And because we're talking about real estate, we're not talking about, even buying a new camera, right? Like we're talking about such a big purchase
Right.
that people are just going to want to talk to someone and have an expert opinion.
Mhm.
And when they think about a person to talk to, they don't think about Zillow.
So that's how we think right now. Maybe over time, as I would have never thought people would buy cars without getting that
Put your
intimate with
hand
it.
on it. Yeah.
Well, now they'll buy an iPhone without doing that. Now they'll spend $80,000, $100,000 for a car to do that. Maybe when a little bit more time happens and folks get more comfortable, maybe they will feel comfortable
think
with the
they'll-
house.
It was the
What
same
about-
I don't
concept
know.
of doing banking online. Your parents,
Oh, dude,
my
they're
parents.
shutting down all the drive-through banks now. They don't even use them anymore.
But I will say,
so I don't know if it
but
happens. I'm
what's-
just saying potentially it could begin to happen as folks get more
which I
comfortable.
think is
with it.
why your point, Tim, is to not just stay current, but continue to push the needle of value, re-innovation, be ahead, and show the additional value in a new way, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the channels that Zillow is not on.
Well, and here's the thing: you've got you've got the baby boomer generation.
It's their fault, by the way.
But I mean, look, you've got this segment of the population that I think we're very safe with. We're very safe. Like they're not going to go through all that. But what you have to think of is, how long do you plan on being in this business? If you plan on being in this business another 10 years, right? The 15-year-old kid in high school right now is going to be a home buyer.
Yeah.
And they, to your point, Logan, do not care. They will definitely be comfortable buying a house through a cell
Right.
phone. And
You're
that's
right.
coming. So, like, agents that are in the business now, I think you're fine because, the generation and whatnot. But the generation that's coming is like I said, I think they're gonna go on YouTube more. Like I think all that stuff more, but it's just also more gonna be if you can't provide that service and value, then you're in trouble.
I agree with that. 100% actually.
Yeah, I think about this as we talk about the conversation and say, how does this change over time? And when these young kids get to that point,
that'll save me time later.
Sorry. Yeah, I see as these change over time, and I remember thinking, I don't need the next 30 years. I'll be done in 10 or so. So I think, well, it won't affect me, but I realize there's a much longer trajectory.
Business.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, from it, so now let's get to, and we'll finish it off with a discussion about what does this mean? Because we've dissected the hell out of this. And I don't think that there's, like I said, a better group of guys or gals, whatever you guys associate with, but that has insight and true value to give to this conversation. We've put things in perspective for people. Now, what is the effect of this moving forward? What does this mean for realtors? What does it mean for buyers, sellers, and investors? Because for me, as a flipper on the side, I'm going, well, it really doesn't affect me much because they're not buying the houses that I'm buying. So I will kind of benefit from them doing what they do. They're increasing the market.
So on the retail side, I think it's got a ton of effects. Tim will speak to that. On my side, I remember when the iBuyers started to come out, I remember thinking at that time I was buying houses direct from sellers in the front yards. Right. I remember thinking this might affect me, but I realized my transactions have a little bit of hair on them.
Yeah. They don't want to get their hands dirty.
Yeah, this stuff will never really move the needle in my realm, I don't think. So,
which is why I think their initial plan did not work, because in order to make a solid profit or margin, you've got to get your hands dirty and put the deals together that can't be put together by snapping your fingers.
Right.
And that's where
that's
there's
our
a
business
niche
model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for us now,
look, on our end, I think realtors could probably waste a lot of time going down this rabbit hole. So you listen to this podcast, I hope it was entertaining. But, at the end of the day, it's like, you're not going to go take on Zillow, right? As a single agent. But I do think it's important that agents understand the landscape better. Because when I talk to agents, it seems like most do not. They do not understand what Zillow and Open Door are buying. They're still mad about Zestimates. Right. It's like, dude,
move on.
The consumer. It's called.
You don't know how to run comps, so what's the difference?
It's called. But the thing is, that's what I mean in the realtor bubble. Right. Like the thing's called a Zestimate. If I tried to explain to a normal person why realtors are so hung up on the Zestimate,
right,
the person would say, "Yeah, they put the word estimate right in it. Like everybody knows it's an estimate. It's Zillow's estimate.
And
if
you don't have a home value estimator on your website by now, you're behind already.
Exactly.
Right.
So again, just one of those, like in realtor world, it makes sense. Outside of realtor world, it doesn't. So like get outside of realtor world and actually understand what the direction is, what the stuff is. Mm-hmm. Because one, I think it's good to know. Two, if you, like I said, right now, I think you're fine. Like I think you just focus on, getting in front of people, talking to people, helping people, like all the stuff, Logan, that you're talking about. At the end of the day,
that's,
you're having these conversations. There's so many people to get in front of in a meaningful way that I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But I will say, if you're just getting into this business and you plan on being in this business another 10 years, I would be keeping more of an eye on it, because I think it's going to be more of a thing. On the same hand, look, all this stuff, when big disruption comes in and changes an industry, there's always big opportunity.
And I agree
so
with
that's
that.
That's where too, okay, Zillow's going to come in and they're going to do this. Okay, where's the opportunity? Like there's always opportunity in this stuff. And so, looking at that stuff as well. But from a marketing side, look, you mentioned teams, seeing all agents go to teams, I'm seeing whatever. I get to see a lot of both worlds,
right?
Working with a lot of unbelievable, fantastic solo agents, working with a lot of really great, successful teams, also working with a lot of really crappy teams. There's like a messy middle from being a good solo agent to building an efficient team, and a lot of people get stuck in the middle.
Right.
Look, if teams are around because real estate companies have never gotten the processes together for their people,
right?
And so teams did, and then now they have all the processes and systems and da-da-da-da. But as more things become available, I think it'll be much easier to be a single agent and run a business. And At least for my
Oh.
people who like have a YouTube channel,
Right.
or crush it on different forms of organic marketing where
Right.
leads are just coming into them because of the thing they've built. But again, I have to say, you gotta find a place that is at least like thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if your brokerage isn't even thinking about trying to improve
Or
the
if they're
consumer
denying
experience, or if they're denying this
Yeah.
stuff is happening, that's where I'm like, like I'm big on the fact that most agents are probably fine at their brokerage. It's mostly them, not their company.
Right.
But if you're at somewhere where they're not even thinking about this stuff, that's where I shake my head a little bit.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I mean, this was a damn good conversation. We got plenty of nuggets, plenty of insight, and we've got some strong opinions that are backed up with actual logic, experience, and data at the end of the day. Is there anything you guys would like to shed light on, give our listeners something to leave with, something that they can take to the bank and cash?
I'm trying to think of my favorite thing from you that I've gotten.
I'll tell you my
Thus
favorite.
far, it's his
I'll tell you my
eyes.
favorite thing
Oh,
about
excuse me.
Sometimes I like that. I'm gonna get you to help me teach my wife. To say
Yeah,
that to me.
man.
I think common sense gets misplaced a lot of
What
times.
the hell is that?
That's the problem. We get really so much information's out there. We try to get so sophisticated and all these things, and we just forget, man, what's basic. The core principles of our very sophisticated business are very, very basic.
Yeah.
And someone was asking me the other day, the market's changing, and I need a house, and interest rates are up, the asset value's down. What do I do? Do I wait? Do I do this? I'm like,
Do you
whoa,
need
whoa,
a
whoa.
house?
Bingo. That's exactly what I said. Do you need a house? Does it need to be in a different school district than you're in? Go buy the house.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, damn.
It was that simple. And
Right.
I think
So I encourage people to do that. It really sounds stupid, and like
I mean,
there
that's
could be
a
more
great
complicated
point.
advice, but think about it like that.
No, but that is a great point.
Yeah.
Is we tend to get caught in the minutia of what the media is saying or trying to tell us
All that
when
stuff. So
that 100% is their agenda, and then you go and regurgitate that stuff to sound sophisticated or to
Yep.
think that you really care about those things when it should just be brought back to basics.
Right. And even in the light of the conversation we're having today about what do I do? Do I go this route? Do I go that route? What do you think makes sense for you? Go do that. Don't listen to all the stuff that these talking heads right here are saying. Just what makes sense. Do you have a friend down the street that you really like and trust as a realtor? Do that. Are you adventurous and want to test out this iBuying or iServices
Sure.
thing? Go do it.
Yeah, that's true. What's
It's
your
all
time
rocket
worth?
science.
What's your time worth?
Hey, look,
Right.
on that note, on your note there, it's like the consumer is just going to go get educated. That's what they're going to do. And as agents, are you or are you not the educator?
Boom.
And that's the thing, because they're going to go get educated. They are going to check out the iBuyer app. They are going to go do whatever. And are you, as an agent, an educator? Are
Right.
you viewed as that thing? Look, if I have a title issue,
Hey, you're
Nope.
you're an expert. You're an educator. He called you that when we got here.
so
Yeah, right.
but my point is,
Told you.
look, if I have a title issue, I'm not thinking twice. I'm calling Logan, right? Because he's the expert. I know he's the expert. And how
Right.
many people a day call you with these homes that have title issues? And all this stuff?
Blood.
Well, I'll go
Blood.
even further. If he doesn't know the answer, he knows where to find it.
But my point is, he's established himself for me, in my mind, and a lot of other people's minds,
Right.
as the person to go to. You have a title issue.
Right.
That's simply put, your marketing and how you've built this business
Sure.
is by being the resource for this problem.
Yeah.
And one thing I would ask agents to think about is what are you the problem solver for? When people are about their lives, like, why are they going to call you? Who is it that calls you, and what is the problem that you solve? And how good are you at telling the world that you solved that problem?
And you
Yeah.
know what that is? That's back to basics, which is your value proposition.
Your value proposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
So,
And the new age is you have to be confident or comfortable enough or just willing to get it out there. That's this
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
keeping your, that's
Yeah.
that's
Shit
a tough
straight.
one.
That's true.
So-
But being able to get it out there without looking like a jerk.
So, if I had one thing to leave people with, I think,
Oh, there's another?
that was just me. That was just me
I
piggybacking on
love
what he
this
said.
conversation, though,
Um,
guys, for real.
look,
Great stuff.
I think the big thing that, and again, this is me. I mean, you knew me when I started.
Oh, yeah.
The guy
yeah.
crawling through hoarder houses,
Shit, yeah, man.
riding on a scooter, like whatever. I mean, just figuring it out. And I'm at a point now where obviously haven't figured out at all, but like I've figured out a lot over the last couple of years. And one thing that I've seen is that people who master something really succeed 10, 20x.
Yeah.
And I've been good at being a jack of all trades, master of none, right? Like I'm pretty good at a lot of things. And people that are pretty good at a lot of things tend not to do well. And so, again, going back, it was like put on the suit, be on the billboard, put out marketing that's for everybody.
Right.
Now, if your marketing's for everybody, your marketing's
It's
for
for nobody, like you're saying.
right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly right.
that's like the biggest thing is there's so many things to do in this industry, and I think going all in on specific things and becoming an expert in specific things will solidify your value to the market indefinitely.
I agree 100% with that. Guys, I'm going to jump into this monologue real quick, but I want to thank you both for joining me for this conversation, because it wasn't an easy topic to go over. And obviously we went down several rabbit holes that led to some aha moments and some moments that we go, oh, well, shit, I kind of knew that, but didn't really understand it all the way. And now I didn't see it from a different perspective, etc. And I'm hoping some of the listeners are thinking the same thing after listening to this. But some of the key factors that I pulled away from this thing have a lot to do with going back to the basics and seeing opportunity. And the opportunity with big bank, take little bank is finding yourself. What in the world are you trying to convey to the world, and how are you going to get it to them? Going back to the basics of what your value proposition is. What's your why? How are you going to articulate, and where are you going to give this information to your customer or future customer? I think that is something that we all still have in our court, because when you're dealing with Zillow, you're not dealing with a person, you're dealing with a company. And people want to do business with other people that they like, know, and trust. At the end of the day, a company that builds an empire is still not someone that we can fully say is on our side, whereas the other people, when dealing real estate, you can shake hands, write with them, you can call them, you understand where they are. So I think it's important to know that you should not be bad-mouthing these people, because it's evolution occurs regardless of whether we like it or not, but see it as a way to opportunistically get and find your groove, get your content out there, and get it out there on all platforms. Because like Tim said, you're not going to see Zillow on YouTube. You're not going to see Zillow on Instagram, all of these things, because they're not connecting with a person. They're connecting with all people. They're shooting a dove shot instead of these slugs like we should be shooting. So guys, if you're getting anything out of these shows, please make sure to share, like, subscribe, all that jazz. How can they get a hold of you guys if they wanted to?
Hit me on the gram.
There you go.
Tim Macy Realtor.
Same place. Instagram, The Real Estate Junkie, and Facebook.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, he's scratching his neck like, I gotta get more. I gotta
just
get
one
more,
just
baby.
one more house.
That's
just one more house, baby.
DM it on the gram. That's it.
All right, good deal. Well, guys, I hope you got something out of this, and we will catch you on the next one.
You were talking about money market.
Separate yourself widely from the pack moving forward. That's something that you would be willing to have a discussion about.
Because they didn't get it. They were
probably
like,
didn't get it.
Yeah. To follow up with your clients, to generate more leads. You know what I mean?
Always check to make sure you're recording.